Let us talk about Cyclops. When most people think of Cyclops, they picture a guy in a blue and yellow suit with a red visor and laser eyes. That is usually where the conversation ends. To a lot of fans, Cyclops seems boring, too serious, and stiff. He is not as flashy as Magneto, not as gritty as Wolverine, and not as funny as Deadpool.
Who are you? I'm Batman.
But Cyclops is one of the most misunderstood characters in Marvel. He is not badly written, he is quietly written. Scott Summers is not a power fantasy, he is a responsibility fantasy. Once you understand his power, his trauma, and the impossible choices he faces, Cyclops stops being boring and becomes painfully real. Scott Summers had a broken childhood long before the X-Men. As a kid, he was in a plane crash that he thought killed his parents. In the chaos, he and his brother Alex had to jump from the plane. Scott survived, but hit his head hard. That injury and losing his family shaped everything about him. He bounced through orphanages, got bullied, and shut down emotionally. Even before his mutant power showed up, he learned one lesson early. Control keeps you safe, and chaos kills. That belief defines Cyclops. His powers did not arrive quietly. Scott's eyes started firing uncontrollable energy blasts. They were strong enough to punch through walls and send grown men flying. He could not turn them off. Once they activated, they stayed on. If he opened his eyes, the beams fired with no warning. From that moment, he was not just a kid. He became a walking hazard. A lot of people get his beams wrong. Cyclops does not have heat vision. His blasts are not lasers and they do not burn. They are concussive force. Think of them as invisible battering rams of energy. When he hits someone, he is hitting with raw kinetic impact, not fire. That is why enemies fly, why buildings crumble, and why the land shatters instead of melting. Cyclops does not burn a battlefield, he smashes it. Marvel has offered different explanations for where the blasts come from. Early stories said he absorbed solar energy. Later stories said his body converted radiation. The most recent take says his eyes are gateways to another dimension made of pure kinetic energy. Fans call it the punch dimension. Scott does not generate the energy. He opens a door, and that dimension pushes energy through him into our world. That explains why the blasts never run out and why there is no recoil. He is not firing ammo. He is holding back a flood. Why does he not tear himself apart? His body has a psionic field that protects him from his own blasts. His tissues and brain are adapted to handle forces that would destroy a normal person. Still, the real weakness is psychological. He is protected physically but not mentally. Over the years, writers explained why he cannot simply turn off his power. Some blame the head injury, some point to trauma. Many say it is a mental block. The key idea is this: Scott does not trust himself. He is terrified of what would happen if he let go. So his mind keeps the portal locked. He lives in constant restraint. That brings us to the visor. Ruby quartz lenses are the only known material that can block his optic blasts. Without those lenses, he cannot live safely in the world. The visor is more than gear. It is a symbol of restraint and isolation. Scott can tweak the visor to change blast width, intensity, and shape. He can bounce shots off walls, disarm enemies, or level a whole area. But the visor is still a cage. He cannot look at another person without a filter. Every connection is mediated. One big part of Cyclops that gets overlooked is how smart he is. Scott is one of the best battlefield tacticians in Marvel. Even Captain America respects his skills. Cyclops fights with calculation, not blind emotion. He studies angles, distances, reflections, and team placement. Every blast is planned. That is why Professor Xavier picked him to lead. Not because he was the strongest, but because he was reliable. Scott's leadership style makes some readers uncomfortable. He does not give rousing speeches or crack jokes. He does not rebel for style.
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Almost forgot.
Oh, am I going to war or a circus?
What'd you expect? Black leather?
Well, except for that one. He leads by owning responsibility. When someone dies, he carries it. When missions fail, he takes the blame. Over time, this weight crushes him. With extinction-level threats, decisions get worse. Events like House of M and Messiah Complex force him into impossible choices. Save people now or save the future. Eventually, he stops asking what is right and asks what is necessary. The Phoenix Force changed him. When Phoenix bonded with Scott, his power and focus increased. His blasts grew more destructive, precise, and controlled. More importantly, the Phoenix removed hesitation. Scott became decisive in ways he had not been before. Some readers saw him as a villain, others saw a revolutionary. The simpler truth is that he stopped asking permission and started acting. Was he right? That question divides fans. After Avengers vs. X-Men, he was imprisoned and blamed. Many characters and readers reluctantly admit something uncomfortable. Scott was trying to save mutant kind when no one else would. He crossed lines. Those lines existed in a world already failing mutants. Scott did not become a monster. He became what the situation required. In recent X-Men stories, Scott has evolved. He is calmer, more confident, and less rigid. He is not just Xavier's soldier or the Avengers' scapegoat. He leads on his own terms. For the first time, Scott Summers is not running away from who he is. Cyclops is not flashy or loud. He does not seek attention. He walks into danger and takes the hit for others. He is disciplined and shaped by trauma. His leadership grew from loss. His power is held back by conscience. Once you understand him, Scott Summers is not boring. He is burdened. That makes him one of the most human X-Men. At the heart of Cyclops is a paradox. He is powerful and fragile. His powers are visible and dangerous, but the real damage is inside. His backstory explains why he values order and sacrifice. Wolverine reacts to loss with violence and impulse. Cyclops responds with discipline and duty. Both are responses to trauma. That contrast makes Scott compelling to readers who see quiet forms of trauma in real life. Most comic leaders can pick a style: inspiring, reckless, or charming. Scott has none of those easy choices. His leadership is utilitarian, and that can look cold. If you pick a tactical outcome over popularity, you will face dissent. Scott often chooses the survival of many over the lives of a few. That is a defensible position that feels cruel in the moment. The nuance is that Scott does feel intensely. He just turns that emotion into strategy. He is the guy who holds a terrible choice in one hand and a possible future in the other. That interior conflict is rich storytelling. Because his blasts are concussive, his fights tell different stories. Battles with Cyclops are about displacement and structural damage. He fights with positioning and control, not flashy showmanship. His attacks need choreography, ricochets, timed volleys, and precise bursts. The physics of his power force team coordination. When writers use that, his fights feel smart. When they do not, he becomes a generic blaster. The Visor is an excellent symbol. It filters his sight and his relationships. Every interaction is blocked by a material or emotional armor he cannot drop. That explains breakdowns in his relationships with Jean Grey, Emma Frost, and younger teammates. Scott can be there physically and not be emotionally present. That kind of tragedy is rare in superhero stories. The Visor is the sign of his loneliness. Fans overlook Cyclops because competence is not flashy. That long game rewards readers who follow him across issues and years. Casual readers who want immediate spectacle often miss his depth. The moral questions he faces are real. He must often pick between probabilistic outcomes with huge stakes. Choosing the survival of a species over a few lives is not easy to label as right or wrong. Cyclops lives in gray areas. The Phoenix era asked if power plus ideology corrupts. Scott sometimes abuses power, and sometimes is the only one willing to act. Scott's romantic life shows how duty and trauma warp relationships. His bond with Jean Grey is central. Their love is an anchor and a wound. Jean's deaths and resurrections hit Scott hard. His later relationship with Emma Frost shows a different side. Emma is a partner who shares leadership and burden. Some fans dislike that change, but both relationships reveal different parts of Scott. Jean brings out tenderness and sacrifice. Emma brings rivalry, passion, and strategic partnership. For writers, Cyclops is a strong tool. His conflicts come from structure rather than spectacle. He fits stories about military ethics, trauma, survival, and leadership psychology. He lets writers show the cost of power without turning the hero into a villain. The tension between duty and desire is a steady source of drama. Scott can be martyr, reformer, introspective leader, or revolutionary, sometimes all at once. Cyclops also reflects debates about institutions. He trusts structure, rules, and training to protect people. That can look conservative next to more chaotic heroes, but that viewpoint speaks to readers who believe institutions are protective. When those institutions fail, Scott must either fix them or break them. That storyline mirrors real-world arguments about reform or abandonment. Cyclops' blandness is intentional. His restraint lets other characters be loud while he handles consequences. He asks what survival costs and pays it. That willingness to carry weight, along with a physically scary but morally grounded power, makes him more human than many superpowered characters. Read Cyclops as a study in duty, trauma, and tactical skill, and you see a man who has lost everything and will not let others take that risk lightly. If you want more deep dives, subscribe to Richard Barron Horror. This channel goes past the surface and into the shadows of characters you thought you knew. Visor up and see you next time.